Hello and welcome back to Real Strange Tales, where we delve into the strange, violent, mysterious, and macabre tales that take place in our real world. I'm your host and narrator, Mike Howes, aka Slaughterhouse.
And I am also your host, Cody McLaughlin, aka Creepy McLaughlin.
Still workshopping it, huh?
Yeah, your last name works better for this.
Alright, getting down to business, our strange tale today takes us to the Great White North.
Hey, there's crime in the North Pole?
Are you serious?
No.
Oh, alright then. So, as we travel to Canada.
Oh,
What?
I was nothing. I was thinking about something else.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we head to Canada and unearth the tale of the Manitoba Manatee, a tale that involves two buddies with a podcast, a famous internet personality, and extreme body modification.
Yo, do we have fan fiction about us already?
You need fans for that, but no, this is about a now defunct travel podcast, the Not Sea Party.
No.
Notsee, Not Sea Party.
Oh, I was gonna say, whatever happened to them, probably warranted.
Right. Well, basically, the setup was one of the guys, Wallace, would travel, experience things, then tell the other, Teddy, who isn't comfortable going places about, all the interesting stuff that he saw.
Dude, that still sounds like us. You're like always home while I'm out being a badass. Other than the names, that description doesn't do anything to convince me that this still isn't fan fiction about us. Like how 50 Shades was actually that started out as Twilight fan fiction.
How do you know that?
We can just start.
There. I'm going to ask again later, though. Our story begins in 2014 in Los Angeles, in a seemingly normal episode of the Nazi Party with Wallace Bryton and Teddy Kraft. They detailed their plans for Wallace to fly to Manitoba for their next episode.
To interview a manatee?
Hold on. The episode was to center on Wallace's impending interview with internet celebrity, the Kill Bill Kid, a teenager who recorded himself practicing swordplay in his garage before accidentally severing his own leg.
Oh god, I remember that video. What happened to that kid? Is he doing alright? I know a lot of people joked about him, but I just kind of felt sad for him, really.
Well,
Oh, did the manatee eat him too?
that's not what this story's about. Wallace's girlfriend, Allie Leon, had pleaded with him not to go on the trip, citing that making fun of the boy on the internet was one thing, but going there and making fun of him to his face was a step too far.
Hell yeah, girl, you tell him.
Needless to say, the guy who thought the Nazi Party was a good title didn't heed that advice. Upon arriving in Canada, Wallace drove to the home of the Kill Bill Kid, only to find a memorial service taking place for him. The constant ridicule at the most tragic moment of his life led to him ultimately taking his own.
I feel justified in my not finding it funny now.
Proud of you.
But I mean, like, if it's that embarrassing, and don't get me wrong, you can have and post whatever you want, not feel ridiculed as long as you're not hurting anyone or anything. But like, why post it online?
Actually, in my research, I found out that he didn't post it. The video was on an old laptop his family sold to someone who happened to be a fan of the Nazi Party.
The podcast?
Yeah, just for clarity's sake, there are no literal Nazis in this story, so I will always be referring to the podcast.
Got it. Just trying to understand.
So this fan sent it to Wallace and Teddy, who uploaded it themselves and covered it extensively to the point it had, I think, 30 million views by the time Wallace flew up.
Wait, so Wallace and Teddy were the ones that shared the video? Man, fuck those guys. Whatever happens with this manatee, I'm not in Wally's corner at this point.
Well, that's good. Teddy received a voicemail from Wallace that night calling from a local tavern named Bar H, explaining the situation and promising to find a new subject to cover on their show before his return to the States.
Manatee!
I am very happy that you have no idea where this is going.
Not a clue.
Especially since you told me you were going to Google it at the end of last episode.
I was going to, and I did not.
Well, it's good that you're concerned about the show's authenticity. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, I just forgot.
Sure you did, buddy. At that point, it was radio silence from Wallace for the next 24 hours. Allie and Teddy both grew concerned and tried reaching Wallace before going to bed. In the morning, they discovered that Wallace tried to call them overnight. He left a voicemail.
So, who did he leave the voicemail with?
First Allie, then Teddy. Why?
Dude, because if I was in like a hopeless situation and I knew I was about to be eaten by a manatee, I don't know if I'd use my one phone call for you or Sarah.
That's not what happens in this story, but call Sarah. She's your fiance, dipshit.
What if it's in a situation where I need like a big, strong man to save me? Like, that's you. I love Sarah to death, but she's not a big, strong man.
Do you think I'd throw myself between you and an evil manatee?
Honestly, I would like to think so.
You're damn right I would.
Oh shit, so this story is about an evil manatee.
No. In the voicemails, Wallace provided some key pieces of information. 1. He was 2 hours north of Winnipeg, in the middle of nowhere in Manitoba. 2. He was abducted by a man named Howard Howe. 3. Howard wanted to turn him into an animal. 4. Howard had removed one of his legs.
Yeah, actually, I've changed my answer about who I'd call in a terrible situation.
Yeah? Not going with me first anymore? Realize Sarah was the correct choice?
No, I'm calling fucking 911.
There, maybe you didn't know the number for Canadian 911.
What year did you say this took place?
2014.
Okay. Googled it with my smartphone that I had in 2014. Still 911.
Maybe he wanted to say goodbye to his loved ones. I don't know, man. He wasn't exactly able to give interviews on his thought process after.
Well, you just spoiled that he dies.
I did not say that.
Ew, the manatee ate his tongue?
Are you imagining that Howard Howe is a manatee?
Am I not supposed to?
No. Teddy and Allie boarded the next plane to Canada to ask if anyone was aware of Wallace's whereabouts. After visiting the rental company and bar agent coming up with nothing, they went to the police station to play the voicemails for them. The police brushed it off as a joke. However, they had no record of a Howard Howe existing in the area and confirmed they had no confirmation of Wallace leaving the country. He offered them the number of a man from Quebec who was hunting a serial killer, inquiring as to whether there were any reports of dead, legless bodies.
As opposed to the alive, legless bodies?
The two met with Guy Lapointe, a former inspector for the Sûreté de Quebec. For the previous 10 years, he's dedicated his life to the search for a serial killer who has racked up, to his count, 23 bodies. His MO evident in the bodies found. Always skinned, always legless, their arms always stitched to their body in a way he described as like a crucified T-Rex, and the tongues and teeth removed. However, there were no signs of anything sexual in nature.
I mean, 23 is a lot. Maybe that's just like a Canadian, what Canadians like to do? Like a pastime?
I don't think so.
Fair, but name me one hobby your average Canadian would have that's right.
Hockey.
You, okay? Keep reading the story.
With pleasure. Guy claimed that the killer had earned the name the First Wife among the force, because they don't let you say anything, they don't let you go anywhere, and they don't fuck you.
No way they actually said that.
They did. It was in the official documentation. It's in my notes.
Wow. That's like old school misogyny. Like you don't come by that much these days. Usually it's just like threats?
Lapointe also detailed an encounter in Lachute, Quebec, 2 years prior that may have been an encounter with Howard Howe while investigating the disappearance of hockey player Gregory Gumtree, who disappeared after answering an ad for a room for rent not far from the area. He met with a man named Bartholomew Bustier, a seemingly mentally challenged man who repeatedly attempted to get Lapointe to help take care of a brown recluse spider in his bathroom. However, Lapointe ruled him out as a suspect and continued his investigation. 1 month later, Gumtree's body was found blocking a sewer pipe nearby. Further investigation revealed that there was nobody named Bartholomew Bustier, and every detail about his life was a lie. Lapointe was now convinced that Gumtree was in that house when he visited, and that Bustier and Howe were one and the same.
This is this is kind of upsetting.
It gets worse.
What one thing though?
What's up?
Guy Lapointe?
No, it's Guy Lapointe.
You showed me your notes. It looks like Guy Lapointe.
I looked it up. I watched an interview with him. It's Guy Lapointe. He's from Quebec.
Weebeck?
Quebec. Do you not know what makes up most of Quebec's population?
Manatees?
They're predominantly French Canadian.
Okay, you got me. I apologize to Guy Lapointe and the people of Quebec for my ignorance.
That was damn decent of you. Lapointe joined Allie and Teddy in their search for Wallace, asking if he had any habits on the road. They cited his love of gigantic soft drinks from gas stations. This led them to the Ed to Zed convenience store on the road north.
I have another question.
Is it another one where the solution is that the story takes place in Canada?
Please continue.
Will do. The two teenage girls working the counter recognized the photo of Wallace as Mr. Mustache
Why Mr. Mustache?
because he had a mustache.
You didn't mention that.
Well, he had a mustache.
Okay, well, I was just saying that detail was missing from your narration. You act like this is your second time doing this.
Wallace had asked them how far away Bifrost was. He used a notepad to write down the address, which Lapointe used to trace out the address he took down.
Oh, like the Big Lebowski.
Exactly like the Big Lebowski. On the road there, they found Wallace's rental car driven into a lake. They ventured to the house to which the address belonged, the Pippi Hill estate. Lapointe made sure Teddy and Allie were armed before the three stormed the mansion. Upon entry, they immediately heard Wallace's screams and found one of his legs kept on ice among diagrams of the human anatomy and blood-stained surgical instruments. Allie and Teddy found a false wall and shot their way through it and discovered what was once Wallace standing over Hal's dead body, killed moments before they entered the room, a room modeled after a seaside dock, with concrete platforms 6 feet of water, and videos of walruses in the wild projected onto the wall.
What was once Wallace?
Yeah, what they found there was not the friend they saw off to Canada anymore.
Well, what the fuck was it?
I am glad you asked. The mass of flesh bouncing over Hal's corpse and letting out animalistic wails had the face of Wallace, but not the spirit. Lapointe was right. Wallace was yet another victim of the killer he'd been chasing for 10 years. Now, his MO was clear. He had cut off Wallace's legs and fashioned the bones into 2 tusks that he attached to portions of his mouth that he hollowed out. Then he removed the tongue in order to keep him from speaking, further forcefully severing his ties to humanity. He then folded his arms and stitched them to the side of his torso, transforming them into makeshift flippers. Then, using the flesh of Wallace and the other previous victims, Hal turned Wallace into a twisted version of a walrus.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
No, like, dude, I need a minute.
Oh, okay. You good?
I don't know.
All right, well, I'm going to keep narrating. What Hal planned with the walruses he created was a fight to the death. After they became acclimated to their new form, he would challenge them, adorned in his own walrus suit that wasn't bound to his skin and with full free range of motion. You're not going to say anything like,
That's unfair, or sounds like a bitch who's afraid to lose.
Cody?
I just.
After the previous fights, which Hal won, he would cut the original body from the suit, reclaim the tusks he'd crafted, and dump them elsewhere before assuming a new identity and moving to a new location to try once more. Wallace, however, managed to overcome him, driving a tusk through his foot, then mounting and goring him just before his rescuers burst through the door. Lapointe aimed the gun at Wallace, who was growling and snarling at Teddy and Allie, ready to put him out of his misery. Wallace's loved ones desperately pleaded with him not to do it.
So, did they watch him do it?
You back with us, bud?
The guy was a dick, but like, nobody deserves for that to be their fate. I'm just glad that he's not suffering anymore, and honestly, just hoping his loved ones are okay.
Guy Lapointe did not shoot him.
Sorry?
You'll see. Wallace is, to this day, living in a private wing of the Manitoba Exotic Animal Sanctuary as a walrus. Allie and Teddy still visit and bring him gifts such as fish or the gas station cups he got so often. However, he does not show any signs of the humanity that was snatched away from him. piece by piece.
No.
Fucked up one, huh?
I feel like I need a shower, but I also don't want to be near water.
Alright, you want to take a break before the next segment?
No, let's get it over with so I never have to think about this shit again.
Alright, let's rock and roll. Okay, as is the case with every episode, our final segment is one in which I ask Cody a question or questions about the case that allow us to speculate on finer details or fill in the blanks on our own. You ready?
Fuck no, but go ahead.
Alright, today my question for you is simple. Why?
Why? Why what?
Why did Howard Howe, well, the person that pretended to be Howard Howe, kidnap people, turn them into walruses, and fight them?
Oh, yeah, that's the opposite of a simple question.
You know what? You're right. So, complicated question. Why?
Well, do we have any information on this guy? Like his real name or where he actually came from?
No, I feel like it's safe to assume that he was white, but other than that, no actual trace of him existing besides his corpse and all the other ones that he left behind.
Okay. So he had an obsession with walruses
Mm-hmm.
and he kept fighting them.
Yep.
So obviously he hated them or loved them.
Keep in mind there's no like kinky element to this.
Okay, let me start over. It seems like he's obsessed with the sea. Maybe he had an encounter with a walrus in his youth that left a serious mark on him.
Right?
So maybe he's trying to recreate that moment or maybe redeem himself for it?
Like maybe he lost someone to a walrus, you think?
Yeah? Or he killed one and feels bad about it?
He doesn't seem to have that much of an issue with killing.
Yeah, no idea, man. I'm not a psychologist. The honestly, the no kinky stuff is the thing throwing me for a loop.
That's fair. Evil isn't always understandable. Anyway, since then, the game of telephone that is public perception of news, Wallace has become primarily known as the Manitoba Manatee.
Dude, I'd be pissed off if I got forcefully turned into an animal and then everyone thought I was a different species.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 15 other things I'd probably be pissed at. Over top of that, like being turned into a walrus, might also be a little upset that apparently, from what I've gathered, Teddy and Allie are together now.
Ooh, buddy. At least he doesn't have the hands to see the cutesy pictures and relationship updates on Facebook.
There we go. It's the little things that make, the darkness seem less dark. But, fun fact, this wasn't the last time Guy Lapointe actually made headlines.
Oh, hell yeah. Are we going to cover that case?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
That does it for us today. We hope you enjoyed this.
If you enjoyed this, no, you shouldn't have enjoyed this.
All right, solid point. Well, next time we're actually going to delve into a story that involves some more flesh play, if that's a term. We're traveling back to the 70s and to Texas to visit the case known as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
God damn it. All right, I'll catch you guys next time.